A nurse fed a millionaire in a coma every day, but when he suddenly woke up, he whispered her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. The sterile hum of the hospital echoed through the halls as Anna Monroe walked down the long corridor toward the ICU. She had seen many patients, many faces, but none had quite struck her like Grant Carter. He was the youngest billionaire in the city, a tech mogul who had built his empire from the ground up. But now, he lay unconscious in a private suite, connected to machines that kept him alive. The accident had been devastating, and despite all the doctor's best efforts, he remained in a coma. It had been weeks since the crash, and Anna had been assigned the task of caring for him. She had heard stories of Grant, of course, how he had created an empire with nothing but his wits and determination. But none of that mattered now. He was just a man in need of care. His life was fragile, and Anna had always believed in the power of human touch. She gently adjusted the foredrip and took a moment to look at the man before her. His dark hair was tousled, his face pale from the lack of movement. His once sharp features were now softened, and the strong, confident man who had once commanded a room now seemed like a shadow of himself. Anna felt a strange mixture of sympathy and curiosity. She wasn't supposed to get emotionally involved. That's not what she was here for. But she couldn't help herself. She had heard how detached and cold Grant was in the business world. He had no time for emotions, no time for anything that didn't contribute to his success. And now, here he was, vulnerable, helpless, needing someone to care for him. As Anna went about her routine, feeding him, adjusting his sheets, and talking to him, she began to notice small changes. A slight twitch in his fingers, a subtle shift in his chest. At first, she thought it was just a reflex, but then it happened again. And again, she found herself talking to him more, telling him about her day, about her hopes and dreams. She shared everything with him, even though she knew he couldn't respond. It became a kind of ritual. She didn't expect him to wake up, but she couldn't stop herself from hoping. One afternoon, as she was adjusting his pillow, she felt his hand twitch. Her heart skipped a beat. Was it a sign? Or just another random movement? She looked at him, waiting. His hand moved again, this time with more intention. She gasped, stepping closer. For the first time in weeks, there was hope. Could he be waking up? Anna called for the doctor, her voice trembling with excitement. The medical team rushed in, and before she knew it, Grant's eyes fluttered open. He stared up at the ceiling, disoriented. But then his gaze shifted to Anna. Their eyes locked for a brief moment, and Anna's heart raced. Grant's lips parted, his voice barely a whisper. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice hoarse from lack of use. Anna's breath caught in her throat. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The man who had been lost in a coma for so long had just spoken to her. But what he said next would change everything. His eyes fluttered again, and he whispered, "I remember you." Grant's eyes fluttered open, and for the first time in weeks, Anna saw a glimmer of recognition in his gaze. It wasn't much, just a fleeting moment, but it was enough to send a rush of hope through her chest. His voice was barely audible, hoarse from days of silence, but the words that escaped his lips caught Anna off guard. "Thank you," he whispered, the sound so faint she almost missed it. She stood frozen for a second, trying to process what was happening. Was this really happening? Was he awake? He blinked slowly, his eyes darting around the room, clearly confused. But then, his gaze shifted to Anna once more, and for a brief second, it seemed like he recognized her. "I remember you," he muttered, his voice rough but clear. Anna's heart raced. She couldn't believe it. After all the time spent caring for him, after all the days of talking to him as if he could hear her, he was finally awake. It felt like a miracle. The doctor quickly entered the room, followed by a few nurses, and Anna stepped back to allow them to do their work. The room became a whirlwind of activity as they checked his vitals, adjusted the machines, and made sure he was stable. But Anna couldn't tear her eyes away from Grant. He was awake. He was alive. And somehow, he remembered her. After a few hours, the doctor confirmed what everyone had been hoping for. Grant's brain activity was improving, and there were signs that his memory would return over time. It was a slow recovery, but it was progress. Over the next few days, Anna continued to care for him, making sure he was comfortable and helping him with his physical therapy. She talked to him constantly, even when he couldn't respond. She told him about her life, her dreams, and the things that made her feel alive. Grant, for his part, listened intently, even if he couldn't speak. His eyes would follow her movements, and occasionally, he would squeeze her hand. It was small, but it was enough to reassure Anna that he was still with her in some way. As the days passed, Anna began to notice something else. Grant was changing. The man who had once been a ruthless businessman, focused only on his empire, was now showing signs of vulnerability. He had lost everything in the accident, his wealth, his power, his status, and now, he was dependent on others for his survival. It was a humbling experience for him, one that Anna could see was slowly shifting his perspective. One evening, after a long day of physical therapy, Anna sat by his bedside, holding his hand. He looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "Why are you still here?" he asked, his voice still weak but clearer than before. Anna hesitated, unsure how to answer. "Because I care," she finally said, her voice soft but steady. "I've been here every day, helping you, because I believe in you. I believe in your recovery." Grant's eyes searched hers, as if trying to understand. "But I'm just a stranger to you," he said quietly. "Why go through all this for someone like me?" Anna shook her head. "You're not just a stranger. You're someone who needs help. And that's all that matters to me." There was a long pause before Grant spoke again, his voice tinged with emotion. "I don't know how to thank you. You've been here for me when no one else was." Anna smiled gently, squeezing his hand. "You don't have to thank me. I'm just doing my job." But as she said the words, she knew they were more than just a job to her. She had grown attached to Grant. His struggle, his strength, his vulnerability, everything about him had captured her heart in a way she hadn't expected. Grant's recovery was slow but steady. Each day, he regained a little more strength, and with it, a little more clarity. His memory was improving, and he started recalling moments from his life before the accident. But there was still so much he didn't remember. One day, as they were going through his therapy, Grant asked her about her dreams. Anna paused, surprised by the question. "My dreams?" she repeated. "I guess. I've always wanted to open my own art studio, to create a space where people can come and express themselves freely." Grant looked at her, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "That sounds beautiful." He paused before adding, "I want to help you with that." Anna blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Grant's gaze softened. "When I recover fully, I want to invest in your dream. I want to make sure you have the resources to create that space." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had never expected anything like this. He was offering her something she had only dreamed of. But there was more. Grant had been a man of wealth, power, and control. He had always been surrounded by people who wanted something from him. But now, he was offering something far more valuable, a chance for Anna to chase her dreams. It was a gesture of kindness, a gesture that had come from a place of understanding and vulnerability. And for the first time, Anna saw the man behind the empire. She saw someone who was learning to care, to give, to rebuild. The rest of Grant's recovery was a journey, not just for him physically, but for them both emotionally. It was a process of rediscovery, of understanding the true value of life beyond wealth. And in that journey, Anna knew one thing for certain. She wasn't just helping Grant heal. He was helping her heal, too. It had been several weeks since Grant had started showing signs of recovery. Each day, he grew stronger, his memory sharper. Anna could see the change in him, not just physically but emotionally. He was no longer the cold, distant billionaire who had been all about business. He was a man learning to reconnect with the world around him, a man who was beginning to see life through a different lens. One afternoon, as Anna sat beside him, helping him with his physical therapy, Grant turned to her, his face serious. "Anna," he said softly, his voice still a little rough, "I want to know more about you. I've been so focused on myself for so long. But now, I see things differently. What do you want in life?" Anna was taken aback by the question. She had never expected Grant, the man who had built an empire from the ground up, to ask her about her dreams. She had always been the one listening to him, caring for him. But now, it felt like the roles were reversing. She thought for a moment, her mind racing. "I want to make a difference," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "I've always wanted to help people, especially those who are struggling. I want to create a space where people can find healing, where they can feel safe and supported." Grant nodded thoughtfully. "That's a noble goal. I can help you with that." Anna blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. Grant smiled, his eyes sincere. "I want to invest in your dream. I want to help you create that space. It's the least I can do for all the care you've given me." Anna's heart raced as the reality of his words sank in. He was offering her the opportunity of a lifetime, something she had only dreamed of. She had always wanted to open a clinic, a place where people could come and heal, not just physically but emotionally. But she had never imagined that Grant, the very man she had been taking care of, would be the one to help her make that dream a reality. As the days passed, Anna worked with Grant's team to start making plans for her clinic. He was true to his word, offering both financial support and the resources she needed to get started. But it wasn't just the money that meant the most to her. It was the fact that Grant believed in her dream. He was no longer the aloof, powerful man he had been. He was someone who cared, someone who wanted to make a difference. One evening, as they sat together in his office, going over the plans for the clinic, Anna couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "You've changed my life." Grant looked at her, his expression soft. "You've changed mine too, Anna. You've reminded me of what really matters, of the importance of kindness, of helping others. And I'll never forget that." It was in that moment that Anna realized just how far they had both come. Grant had started as a patient, someone she was simply trying to help. But now, he had become something more, someone who had helped her rediscover her own purpose. As they worked together to make her dream a reality, Anna knew that their bond was something special, something that would last far beyond the walls of the clinic. It wasn't just about business anymore. It was about two people from very different worlds coming together to make a difference. They had both been broken in their own ways, but together, they were healing. And that was worth more than any amount of money. As the weeks went by, Anna found herself growing even closer to Grant. They spent hours together, planning the clinic, discussing the future, and getting to know each other in ways that felt both new and familiar. The dynamic between them had shifted from caregiver and patient to two people who genuinely cared for each other. For the first time, Anna saw a side of Grant that few others had witnessed, the man behind the empire. He was no longer just the cold, calculating billionaire. He was a man who had learned the value of kindness and vulnerability. He had started to open up about his past, about the mistakes he had made, and the regrets that weighed on him. It wasn't easy for him to admit, but Anna could see the sincerity in his eyes. One evening, after a long day of work, Grant sat across from Anna at his penthouse. The city lights outside twinkled through the large windows, casting a soft glow over the room. Anna had just finished going over some numbers for the clinic, and Grant had been quietly watching her. "Anna," he said, breaking the silence. "I've been thinking a lot lately. About everything. About my life, my choices, and how I ended up here." Anna looked up from her papers, surprised by the seriousness in his tone. She could tell he had something important to say. "What do you mean?" she asked gently, setting down her pen. Grant sighed, his gaze distant. "I built an empire, but I lost myself in the process. I thought success was everything, money, power, control. But it's not. It never was. The more I gained, the more I lost sight of what really matters." Anna listened intently, her heart going out to him. She had seen the emptiness in his eyes before, but now she understood it in a way she hadn't before. "And what matters to you now?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Grant looked at her, his eyes filled with emotion. "You," he said simply. "You matter to me. This clinic, helping people, this is what matters. You've shown me what true success is. It's not about how much money you make or how many people you control. It's about how much you give, how much you help others. You've taught me that." Anna felt a lump form in her throat at his words. She had always known that Grant was capable of more than just building a business empire, but hearing him say it out loud was something else entirely. It made her believe that maybe, just maybe, they were both capable of something much greater than either of them had imagined. As the days passed, Grant's transformation became even more apparent. He started taking a more active role in the clinic's planning, meeting with architects, doctors, and community leaders. His vision for the space grew, and so did his commitment to it. He wasn't just funding it anymore. He was invested in it, heart and soul. One afternoon, as they sat together in the clinic's future space, looking over blueprints, Grant turned to Anna with a serious look on his face. "I've been thinking," he began, his voice steady but uncertain. "I want to do something more than just invest in this clinic. I want to be part of it in a real way. I want to work alongside you, not just as a benefactor, but as someone who's committed to helping the people we'll be serving." Anna's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" she asked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. Grant smiled, a quiet, genuine smile that made her heart flutter. "I mean, I want to be involved in the day-to-day operations. I want to help lead this, to be there with you, making decisions, supporting our patients. I don't want to just be the guy who writes the checks. I want to be the guy who shows up, who cares." Anna's breath caught in her chest. She had never expected this from him. In that moment, she realized that their connection had gone far beyond the walls of the clinic. It wasn't just about the work they were doing. It was about the bond they had formed, the shared commitment to something bigger than themselves. Grant's words were a promise, not just of financial support, but of his heart. "Grant," Anna said softly, her voice filled with emotion, "this means everything to me. You're not just helping me build a clinic. You're helping me build a future. Our future." The weight of her words hung in the air between them, and for the first time, Anna felt like everything was falling into place. They were no longer just two people with separate goals. They were partners, working toward a shared dream. A dream of healing, of giving, of building a legacy that wasn't just about wealth, but about the power of kindness and connection. It was a dream that was beginning to feel more real with each passing day. As the clinic began to take shape, both physically and emotionally, Grant and Anna found themselves working closely together, each day bringing new challenges and triumphs. It wasn't just about business anymore. It was about creating something meaningful, something that would last far beyond their lifetimes. The clinic had become more than just a building. It had become a symbol of their shared dream. Anna could see the changes in Grant every day. He was no longer the man he had been before the accident, distant, isolated, focused solely on his empire. Now, he was open, present, and deeply invested in the people he was helping. He wasn't just leading with his wealth anymore. He was leading with his heart. One afternoon, as they reviewed the clinic's progress, Grant turned to Anna with a serious look on his face. "Anna," he began, his voice soft but full of determination, "I've been thinking a lot about what comes next. The clinic is just the beginning, right?" Anna looked up from her papers, surprised by the weight of his question. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. Grant smiled faintly, as if he had been waiting for this moment. "I think we can do more. We've seen how powerful this place can be, how much it's already changing lives. But I want to take it further. I want to build a network of these clinics. Not just here, but across the country. A whole system of care that focuses on healing, not just physically, but emotionally too." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected such a bold statement. This wasn't just about their clinic anymore. This was about something much bigger. "You're talking about expanding?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. Grant nodded, his gaze unwavering. "I know it's ambitious, but we have the resources and we have the vision. If we can do this in one city, why not do it everywhere? We can create a network that supports people on every level, physically, emotionally, mentally." Anna was speechless for a moment, processing his words. It was a huge undertaking, one that would require more than just financial backing. It would take dedication, effort, and above all, a shared commitment to the mission. But looking at Grant, she realized he was all in. He wasn't just offering her an opportunity. He was asking her to join him on this journey, to build something that could change the world. "Grant, this is..." Anna's words trailed off as she struggled to find the right way to express how she felt. "This is incredible," she finally said, her voice filled with excitement. "But it's also a huge responsibility. It's going to take everything we've got." Grant reached across the table, placing his hand over hers. "We've already given everything we have to this, Anna, and I know we can do it. Together." The sincerity in his voice sent a wave of warmth through her. She had seen him grow so much. Over the past few months, from the man who was solely focused on his business to someone who cared deeply about the people he served. And now, he was asking her to join him in something even bigger than either of them had imagined. As they continued to talk, laying out the plans for the network of clinics, Anna's mind raced with possibilities. This was more than just a business venture. It was a chance to create something that could truly make a difference in the world. And for the first time in a long while, Anna felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Grant had not only helped her achieve her dream of opening a clinic, he had helped her rediscover her purpose. And now, together, they would create a legacy of healing, one that would touch countless lives. As the meeting came to a close, Grant stood up and extended his hand to Anna. "So what do you say? Are you in?" Anna looked at him, her heart swelling with emotion. She took his hand firmly, her voice filled with conviction. "I'm in. Let's build something that will last." And with that, they both knew that the future had never looked brighter. They weren't just partners in business anymore. They were partners in life, working together to build a future of hope and healing for so many. As Anna and Grant worked tirelessly to expand their vision, the days seemed to blur together. They were no longer just a team working on a project. They were partners with a shared mission, building something that would change lives. Their plans for the network of clinics were taking shape quickly, and the support from the community was overwhelming. The clinic's doors had only just opened, but they were already seeing the impact of their work. Patients were walking through the doors not just for medical care, but for a sense of hope. But even as things seemed to be moving in the right direction, a new challenge emerged. The legal complexities of expanding their vision were greater than they had anticipated. They needed additional funding, more resources, and legal backing to ensure the network could operate smoothly across different states. One afternoon, as Anna sat in her office reviewing the clinic's finances, Grant walked in with a stack of papers in his hand. He looked concerned, his brow furrowed as he placed the papers down on the desk in front of her. "Anna," he began, his voice low, "we've hit a bit of a roadblock. The legal and financial side of expanding the clinics is more complicated than I expected." Anna looked up from the papers, her heart sinking slightly. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice tinged with worry. Grant sighed and sat down across from her. "We need to secure more investors, and we have to navigate through some legal red tape. It's going to take longer than we thought to get everything in place." Anna's mind raced. She had always known that expanding would be challenging, but the weight of reality was starting to settle in. "How long are we talking?" she asked. Grant hesitated, then answered, "A few months at least. Maybe longer." Anna nodded, her thoughts swirling. She had worked so hard for this, and now it felt like everything was at risk. But as she looked across the table at Grant, she saw the same determination in his eyes that she had seen when they first started the clinic. He wasn't going to let this setback stop them. "We'll figure it out," she said, more to herself than to him. "We always do." Over the next few weeks, Anna and Grant worked tirelessly to secure the necessary funding and legal approvals. They met with potential investors, navigated the complexities of healthcare regulations, and worked with lawyers to draft the necessary contracts. It was exhausting, and there were moments when Anna felt like the weight of it all might crush her. But through it all, Grant remained by her side, his unwavering support and confidence in their vision a constant source of strength. Then, one afternoon, after what felt like endless meetings and negotiations, they received the news they had been waiting for. Their application for the necessary permits and funding had been approved. The clinics were going to expand, and they had the backing they needed to make it happen. Anna could hardly believe it. The dream they had been working so hard for was finally within reach. She looked at Grant, her heart swelling with emotion. "We did it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Grant smiled, the weight of the past few months lifting off his shoulders. "No, Anna," he said, his voice filled with warmth. "We did it. Together." It was a moment of triumph, but it was also a moment of realization. They had been through so much together, facing challenges, overcoming obstacles, and always pushing forward. But it wasn't just about the clinics anymore. It was about the bond they had formed, the trust they had built. They had become a team in every sense of the word. As the days turned into weeks, Anna and Grant continued to expand the network of clinics, each one opening with the same care and dedication they had put into the first. And as they looked ahead to the future, they knew that together, there was nothing they couldn't accomplish. Their journey wasn't just about creating a legacy of healing. It was about creating a legacy of love, kindness, and partnership that would endure for generations to come. The expansion of their network of clinics had been a remarkable success, but as Anna and Grant continued to build on their shared dream, they began to realize that success came with its own set of challenges. The pressure of managing multiple locations, keeping up with the demands of patients, and ensuring the quality of care remained top-notch was starting to take its toll. Grant, who had once been a man of singular focus, found himself struggling to juggle all the moving parts. He had always thrived in the fast-paced world of business, but now, with a growing healthcare network, the weight of responsibility was heavier than he had anticipated. One evening, as they sat in the clinic's conference room, reviewing the financials for the next quarter, Anna could see the stress in Grant's eyes. He had been working nonstop, staying late into the night, and she could tell he was beginning to burn out. "Grant," Anna said, her voice gentle but firm, "you need to take a step back. You can't do everything yourself." Grant looked up from the papers, his face etched with exhaustion. "I know," he said, his voice tinged with frustration. "But we've worked so hard to get here. I can't afford to let things slip." Anna leaned forward, meeting his gaze. "You've already given so much. We're in this together, remember? You don't have to carry the weight alone." Grant sighed, his shoulders slumping as he finally let his guard down. "I've never been good at asking for help," he admitted quietly. Anna reached across the table, placing her hand on his. "And you don't have to ask. Let me help you. Let's build this together." It was a moment of vulnerability, and for the first time in a long while, Grant allowed himself to truly lean on someone else. Over the next few weeks, Anna took on more of the day-to-day responsibilities, overseeing the operations of the clinics while Grant focused on stepping back and regaining his balance. It wasn't easy for him, but with Anna's support, he began to learn how to delegate, how to trust others to carry the load. The shift wasn't just in their business partnership, it was in their personal relationship as well. They were no longer just colleagues. They had become a true team, supporting each other in ways that went beyond work. One evening, as they sat together on the rooftop of Grant's penthouse, watching the sunset over the city, Grant turned to Anna, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I never thought I would find someone like you," he said, his voice soft. Anna smiled, feeling the warmth of the moment settle in her chest. "I never thought I'd find someone like you either," she replied. Grant took a deep breath, his expression turning serious. "I know we've come a long way, but there's something I need to say." Anna's heart skipped a beat, sensing that something important was about to happen. Grant reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He opened it to reveal a simple yet elegant ring, its diamond glinting in the fading light. "Anna," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "you've been my rock. You've helped me become a better person, a better man. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Anna's breath caught in her throat. She had never expected this moment to come so suddenly, but as she looked into Grant's eyes, she realized that everything had led to this. They had both been through so much, had both grown and changed in ways they hadn't anticipated. But they had done it together, and in that moment, she knew there was no one else she wanted by her side. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, I will." As Grant slipped the ring onto her finger, the city lights below seemed to shine a little brighter. It was a new beginning for both of them, a new chapter in their lives. The journey they had started together, filled with challenges and triumphs, was far from over. But now, they would face it as partners in every sense of the word, working not just for their shared dream, but for a future built on love, trust, and a commitment to making the world a better place. The legacy they had begun to create together was just the beginning of something far greater. And as they stood together, watching the sun dip below the horizon, they knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Months passed, and the wedding was just around the corner. The excitement of planning their future together was palpable, but so was the pressure. The expansion of their clinic network was moving forward smoothly, and with the promise of a larger family to build their lives around, Anna and Grant had little time for rest. Their love had grown, not just from mutual respect, but from the shared journey of overcoming obstacles. What had started as a partnership had evolved into something deeper, something that transcended business. Their commitment to each other had become an anchor in their lives, offering them stability as they both continued to pour their hearts into the mission they had built. As the days passed, Anna found herself increasingly excited for what was to come. She and Grant had planned a small wedding, one that reflected the simplicity and depth of their relationship. They had both agreed that this wasn't going to be a lavish affair. It would be a quiet, intimate gathering of friends and family, marking the beginning of a new chapter. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of Grant's penthouse, the city skyline stretching out before them, Anna felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. She leaned her head on Grant's shoulder, feeling the warmth of his presence, the weight of their shared journey. "Can you believe it's all coming together?" she asked, her voice soft, but filled with wonder. Grant smiled, his hand resting gently on hers. "I can't believe how far we've come," he said, his voice steady. "When I think about the man I was before, it's hard to even recognize him anymore. But with you by my side, I feel like I've become who I was always meant to be." Anna turned her head to look at him, her heart swelling with affection. "You've always been capable of so much, Grant," she said, her voice tender. "You just needed someone who believed in you, someone who saw the real you." Grant squeezed her hand, his eyes locking with hers. "And I found that in you." As the evening wore on, they spoke about their plans for the future, not just for the clinics, but for their lives together. They dreamed of a family, of a home that was filled with love and laughter. They talked about the world they wanted to build, a world where kindness, empathy, and healing were at the center of everything they did. It was clear to both of them that the journey ahead would be filled with challenges. There would be obstacles, and there would be setbacks. But together, they knew they could overcome anything. They had already proven that by building this clinic network, by taking risks, and by trusting in each other's vision. The following week, on a bright sunny day, Anna and Grant stood before their closest friends and family, exchanging vows that promised a lifetime of love, support, and commitment. The ceremony was simple, yet meaningful, just like their relationship. As they stood hand in hand, the weight of the moment hit Anna. She was no longer just a nurse or a business partner. She was now Grant's wife, his equal in every way. And that meant more to her than anything she had ever imagined. Grant looked at her, his expression full of love and sincerity. "I promise to always be there for you, Anna," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "In good times and bad, I'll stand by you. Together, we'll build the life we've always dreamed of." Anna smiled, her eyes brimming with tears. "I promise the same, Grant," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We've already built so much, and now, together, we'll build even more. A life filled with love, compassion, and everything we've always dreamed of." The moment they were pronounced husband and wife, the crowd erupted into applause, but in that moment, it felt like time had stopped. Everything that mattered, everything they had worked for, had led to this beautiful moment. Together, they had created something that went beyond business. It was a partnership rooted in love and a shared vision for the future. They had built more than a successful clinic network. They had built a family, one that would continue to grow, thrive, and change the world for the better. And as they walked down the aisle together, hand in hand, ready to start their new life, Anna knew that no matter what came next, they would face it side by side, their bond unshakable and their love unbreakable. As the years went by, Anna and Grant's vision continued to grow, flourishing into a network of clinics that touched countless lives. Their commitment to each other and to their mission remained unwavering, even as new challenges presented themselves. The journey they had embarked on together had not been easy, but it had been worth every step. The clinics were not just places for healing. They were havens where people found hope, where they were not only treated physically, but emotionally, too. They had built something that went far beyond what they had initially imagined. It wasn't just a business venture, it was a legacy. Anna had come to realize that it was the relationships they had nurtured along the way, the lives they had touched, that mattered most. Every patient, every story of recovery, was a testament to their efforts. Their personal lives had flourished as well. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a future built together. The connection between them was stronger than ever, each day a reminder of the bond they had created through their shared struggles and triumphs. Grant had changed in ways Anna never thought possible. The man who had once been solely driven by success, by building his empire, had become a man who valued family, kindness, and the well-being of others above all else. It was a transformation she had witnessed firsthand, and it filled her with pride and gratitude. One evening, as they sat together in the garden of their home, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, Grant turned to Anna, his expression thoughtful. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" he asked, his voice soft, but filled with meaning. Anna smiled, her heart swelling as she looked at him. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "We've built something incredible. But more than that, we've built a life together. A life I never imagined I could have." Grant reached over, taking her hand in his. "You were always the missing piece, Anna," he said quietly. "I was lost before I met you. But you made me whole." Anna's eyes welled with tears, her heart filled with love. "And you made me believe in the impossible," she whispered. "Together, we've done more than we ever dreamed." The years ahead were full of promise. They continued to expand their network of clinics, reaching more communities, making a greater impact. But it was the simple moments, the ones spent together, that Anna cherished the most. The laughter shared over family dinners, the quiet evenings spent curled up on the couch, the shared dreams for the future. They were the foundation of everything they had built. And in the quiet moments of reflection, Anna realized that the real success was not the number of clinics or the accolades they had earned. The real success was the life they had created, the love they had nurtured, and the people they had helped along the way. It was a life filled with purpose, love, and the knowledge that they had made a difference. And as Anna looked at Grant, her heart full, she knew they had created something far greater than just a network of clinics. They had created a family, a legacy, and a future that was brighter than they had ever imagined. Together, they had built a life that was more than just a dream. It was a reality that would continue to grow, thrive, and impact the world for years to come.